Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Gertruida's Adventures podcast, and I'm your host, Gertruida. So, this is now the first full week of the new year that happened. We are, well, not quite. I mean, it's rolled over a little bit. But we are on the 4th of January today. This will be airing on the 6th of January. So technically by the time that you guys see it, it will be a day away from a full week. So maths. Yesterday was the yarn room's opening. As per my usual style, I took no videos and no photos. But I did buy things. It was a lovely event. The new yarn room is amazing. It's stunning. I am shocked that all of that stuff fitted in the old space. I do understand that there is a bit of extra stock as well because the in-house yarn room brand, which is the rebranded Spindles and Spokes to a large degree, has expanded quite a fair bit, both with colorways as well as with bases, which I'm very excited about. And they also brought in knitting for Olive, which is incredible, I think. I didn't buy any knitting for Olive, mostly because I am a stock South African products fan. I would rather fight with yarn substitutions. But also because of the colors, and you guys will see now in a moment. So yeah, as you can tell, I did buy yarn. So it's okay, I think. Like, yes, it is so early in the year, and yes, I said I wouldn't buy yarn, but at the same time, it is the second opening of the yarn room in their new, lovely, bigger space, and it needed to be celebrated. So I do not regret anything, and I do not feel guilty. I am proudly a menace. So let's get right into it because I'm really, really, really excited about this yarn. So I bought a few bits and bobs from a lot of their bases, but it ended up being only 2 colorways, but it is incredible. So first up, they have a new DK colorway. I'm going to show you guys, I think, part, right? So I bought yarn to redo my Jethro, but not in a Jethro way, just the spirit of Jethro, if that makes sense. You guys will see when I do it. So this is the new DK base. This one is called Gender Reveal Party. Let me just turn the logos up nice and pretty. So it is a gorgeous blue, purple, and pink colorway. I love it. It's very bold, very me. This is the DK base, but they also have a mulled sport base. So that is where Anita does the magic that she dyes singles beforehand and then twists them together in a ply, and then it ends up being a yarn. So this is also the colorway Gender Reveal Party. So you can see the spirit of Gender Reveal Party in it, but it is quite different because this one is shifted. So if you imagine this on a single plied, you can see where it kind of comes from, right? And I just love that. That is so magical. And it's magical that, like, I think you should be able to use these two fairly close together and they will look similar but still different. So that's why I'm going to be using them together in my V2 Jethro. That's not going to be Jethro at all. I have big plans. So then the other colors that I got for this project as well is the it's a funny name, Wink at Perry colorways. So I also got 2 skeins in the DK and then 2 skeins in the mulled sport weight. So you can see they both have a very similar spirit, but also still very different. And now this is where I really want to highlight the joy, the beauty, the perfection of hand-dyed yarns, but how difficult it can also be at the same time. So this is a DK weight yarn, right? This color, let me grab 2 interesting ones. This color is also Wink at Perry, but this is on a sock weight yarn. So the spirit of these two is very similar, but the execution is very different because they were not done together in the same dye pan. So if you look, you'll see a lot more pinks coming through on this one, a lot more speckles. And then with this one, it's more purpley. You can see the flashes of the pink that wants to be there, but it's not as bright and in your face as on the sock weight ones. Because ultimately, what affects things quite a lot is you have yarns that behave very, very differently here. You've got a decan, you've got a sock weight. So sock weight has a bit of nylon in it. This one is 100% merino. This one also a lot of merino, but still has the nylon. The weights are different. The plies are different. The singles are different. Everything is different. So even if you try to use the exact same method, the exact same execution with the exact same amounts of dye, you're going to have a vastly different look. And it's stunning. I love it. And this is also why hand dyers, indie dyers, highly recommend that if you want 5 skeins for your project, do not buy 2 today and then in 2 months' time say, oh, I'll get the other 3, because the other 3 is going to look vastly different. Even on the racks for the same colorway, I was able to pick and choose the colors and the combinations and the looks that I prefer, that I like. So this Winged Perry one will be very, very susceptible to this behavior, because you've got interaction between colors as well as dyes breaking differently, as well as bases behaving differently. It's wild. It's uncontrollable. It's beautiful. So of this one, I did get 5 skeins, and I'm going to hold them all together so that you guys can see them and see that even in these 5 skeins, there is still variation, especially with this middle skein. So if I were to guess, not being an expert myself, the 4 skeins on either end, so 2 on either end, was probably either in the same dye pan or next to each other, that their behaviors and timings and things like that was very close together. And that's why they look more similar to each other. Whereas this 5th one looks a little bit different. But if you were to turn him around, you can see that he wants to play, but also not, because these guys are quite bright on their backsides. It's not like they're a little bit muted on their backsides. So yeah, isn't that fascinating? It's so interesting. I love it. But that also does mean that if you are a perfectionist, if you are someone that wants your colors and your yarn and your pooling to be just so, you're going to have to do a lot more work to work with your yarn if it's hand dyed. Because you might have a situation like this where even if these 5 was all in the same dye pan, you might have a situation where this one was on the end, and then when dye get poured, because you don't want to spill over the side, then this one gets ever so slightly less than the friends, and then it looks a little bit different. It happens. Sometimes it happens that the one on the end gets more because it's at the turn. So then if you don't turn at a sharp corner and you go down a little bit, then it ends up getting a little bit more dye than the friends. So it is such a variable thing. It is such a wild, beautiful empathy of nature thing. And I really, really love that I can see it so clearly in Anita's skeins, because these are all the same color names, like especially these guys. Let me grab these 2. They're all friends. They're all in the same range. They all have, like, if I were to like move them close, move them past really fast, you won't be able to pick out which is which, because they all have the same spirit. But the actual way it hit is so different. And oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It is gorgeous. So yeah, that's all the new skeins that I bought. Let me put these guys down and then catch my breath after being so excited. Okay, what I also bought at the yarn room is some new Notion bags. I wouldn't call them project bags because they're a little bit on the small side, but I love the size. So these are made by, if I've got the family relation correct here, Anita's son's wife's mother. So Anita's son's mother-in-law. They are stunning. So she has quite a creative spirit, similar to me. So she likes to put different colors together, different patterns together, and make it a cohesive whole, which you can see in this first bag, truly. So this one has one spirit on the one side and a different spirit on the other side, and I love it. So it's sort of like a quilting technique to put small pieces together into a cohesive whole, and I love it. It's so pretty. So this bag is fully lined, gorgeous on the inside, gorgeous craftsmanship, gorgeous work. I love it. Then she also had this one, also fully lined, beautiful. Look at this little lace detail. I love it. I love the dots. This one is probably going to turn into a pencil bag. I think it is the right length. If it's not, I'm sure I'll find a different job for it. This one would probably most definitely become a pencil bag. So this one she made with, she gets like sample pieces. So she used that sample piece to make this little baggie. So it was the only one with this type of fabric on it. And I love it because it reminds me a lot of my husband's anime hobby for very obvious reasons. I think this is Japanese text. I'll ask my husband later. Maybe it's a mix, because what I usually do is I see whether it's curly or angular. So you've got a little bit curly and a little bit angular here. But I do also know that Japanese text uses different fonts for different purposes. So I don't know. My husband would know. So I'll ask him after this video. But I do like it. It's pretty. Cool. So now the big question. I bought new yarn, but did I use yarn? I did. So I picked up my birthday suit again, as I've been affectionately calling this sweater. It is the Alchemy Pullover by Wool & Pine. And so I've worked on this quite a fair bit this past week. I finished the neckline, which I love. And then I also finished, an entire sleeve. This is the first sleeve that I finished probably since, I don't know, July last year or something. I haven't finished a sleeve in quite a while. So I'm really proud of this bad boy. But what I also really like is the way that the colors play. So a little bit of details here. Again, with the series when it comes to hand dyeing skates. So this color design has like blocks. I actually have the naked skein somewhere. Hang on a hot moment. Here they are. Cool. So they look like this. So it goes from purple into pink, into orange, into pink again, and then back into purple. So when you dye this, you have to color block your skeins. But because you have different skeins all sitting in the pan, the rate at which you color block them isn't exactly the same. So how you color block is by scrunching up the yarn so it falls into like lines kind of situation that you can have. A little bit of blending happening between colors, but most of the color hitting one section in the skein. So then the end result, if I quickly open this up, the end result is that you have a purple block here, and then you've got your transferring pink into the orange block, right? But now how it lies in the skein, in the pans, is by scrunching it up. So you'll be scrunching up this section so all of this sits together like that. And then you can dye your purple, you add in your little pink, and then your orange is also scrunched up like this. So that when you add your orange and your pink, that the two don't touch each other, because orange and purple together will make mud. So your pink is like your barrier color, right? But now the thing is that because it's skeins and because it's human hands doing the actions, the amount of orange, the amount of pink, the amount of purple is going to be ever so slightly different between your skeins. So if you're using this as a single going through it, you'll obviously get very strong color pooling. But what I did was to ply my two singles together. So at the section that I'm at now, my two singles together have lined up. So you can see all my oranges together, most of my pink is together, and then my purples are mostly together, right? So when that happens, when you knit it up, you get a color effect very similar to what you would have gotten if you were to use a single as is. So that's where this strong pooling, pole striping situation happens. But then as it progresses, the two singles, when they were applied together, the distances of the orange and the pink and the purple started shifting. So then there became a point where instead of pink falling on pink, the pink started falling onto the orange. And then that shift meant it shifts all the way down the color progression, right? So at some point, the purple was falling 100% with the orange and the pinks were together, and that's how the ply ended up happening. So that color shift started happening here where you stop seeing defined lines, and then here the orange and the purple was perfectly aligned, but then you can see the pink coming through a lot more, right? And then at the end here, they started shifting back again, so that I can be at my point now where I'm starting my second sleeve and the two colors is in alignment again, which I think should theoretically mean that the two sleeves will look very similar, but I doubt it would because the shift will start happening at a different point. Most definitely, because with this one, I did the neckline with the skein before I started the sleeve. So I'm guessing that the amount of yarn being used where they lined, which was probably around here, isn't the same as what I used for the neckline. So I'm expecting more pole striping to be happening on the other sleeve than on this sleeve. But we'll see what happens as I work it. But yeah, very excited about this. This makes my brain feel so happy. I really like it. I did also use 2 skeins from my 2025 stash, but I ended up not liking the project too much. So I'll show you guys the project and then explain why I don't like it too much. And I'll probably be frogging it and doing something else because I do love this yarn still. So here it is. So I used a block stitch with crochet where you've got the 3 DCs in each space, and then on the opposite row you do a SE chain 2 SE in between the 3 DCs. So you end up with this beautiful pattern. I do like the pattern, but the way that this, oh, I got a hook happening here, hang on, there we go. The way that this fabric ends up behaving, I don't like too much. So it looks stunning, I love it. I've worked it up until where the joins under the arms happen, and I used a pattern, well, not a pattern, but my own recipe from when I made a crochet bomber before. So the stitch that I used then was a lot more stretchier and a lot more cohesive, and this is now exactly where I think that this fabric fails the recipe. Because of the chain 2s, you don't have a lot of stretch sideways, but you do have a lot of stretch downwards. So now the way that this fabric then behaves is vastly different than the stitch that had the similar amount of stretch both sideways and downwards. And then I don't like the fit of it too much, because now when it fits my breadth, if I can call it that, the width, it feels tighter than what the other one did, even though I did add a few extra stitches to try and compensate for this behavior, because I was expecting that. I'd never trust a chain stitch. Chain stitch and slip stitches, they just rip away any flexibility that you might have. So yeah, it does fit me, but it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel like it has space for like wearing something underneath that isn't a very thin t-shirt or a tank top. Unlike with the Alchemy sweater, which has lots of space, it's going to be so squishy. So yeah, I'll probably be frogging that. I do still want to make a crochet project with that, because I do like the way that that sport weight yarn behaves when it's crocheted, because it's a fairly loose two-ply, very squishy. So in crochet, it just feels so nice. But yeah, cool. That is it for my week. Thank you so much for coming and listening to me ramble. It has been really fun hanging out with you guys. And don't judge me too much for having bought yarn. There's a small amount of space still there. I'll put them there. But yeah, have a wonderful day further, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.